Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show. Uh, I hadn't really planned on doing a show tonight, but some interesting things came up recently, and I thought I'd go ahead and discuss them. Um, so let's just call this an impromptu show. Now, as I usually do, sometimes I see something on the internet and I decide that I want to comment on it. And hello, Rebecca. And this happened recently with a post that showed up over on Telegram. And so the individual over there took issue. Now, let me get down and find the post that created all the hoobaroo. Now, I posted this on Twitter. So it was kind of a surprise when this post came up and I saw this reaction on Telegram. And what caught my attention was uh, the top, which was the Breb Room, I guess you would call it. And the Breb Room had been talking about a lawsuit filed by this guy. Now, anybody that's been around the news knows that this is QAnon shaman, however you pronounce that. He made quite a spectacle of himself in the January 6th insurrection. And sorry about that. But he somehow got himself associated with attorney Lynn Wood. Now, Lynn Wood is known for suing a cartoon cow on, um, or no, it wasn't Lynn Woods. I'm sorry. I don't want to get sued. But Lynn Wood, uh, on the 2nd of June or soon thereabouts, got into a little bit of a pissing match with the QAnon shaman, and things have been going back and forth on his Twitter account. So, QAnon shaman decided to file a lawsuit, and this was a press release that was released. Now, the interesting thing about this, if you read through it, is the Patriot Voice is owned by John Sable, who is the QAnon shaman. And so he posted that he is suing Lynn Wood uh, because of numerous false and defamatory statements published by Lynn Wood about Sabre. Now, Sable is represented by Stephen S. Biss. Now, any of those of you who have followed the history knows that Stephen Biss is the attorney that represented Timothy Charles Homestead in the failed lawsuit against um, Kim Bacasio, a poor woman that got caught up in this mess, me, and others. The lawsuit was dismissed, and that was that. That's my connection to Stephen Biss, which I found was kind of curious. So when this Breb Room guy put up this post, I thought this was rather interesting, so I put it on my Twitter. And somebody who was stalking my Twitter account found it and put it over on Telegram, which was funny. But, that's how these people operate. Now, um, we get on to the lawsuit. Now, this is the lawsuit here, and states that John Sable lives in um, state of Texas, I believe. And there was some confusion because it was stated that Lynn Wood is a resident of Georgia, even though he owns an estate in the Carolinas. But, but, um, so there is a $10 million lawsuit going on over the, okay, I've been corrected. He's not QAnon Shaman. He's the Patriot Boys. QAnon Shaman is Jacob Sendley. All right, so I stand correction. Well, because the reason that I thought it was QAnon Shaman is because Lynn Wood has been attacking him as of the 2nd of June. So I stand corrected on that one. But anyway, the periodical in question is suing Lynn Wood over defamation. So we go with that. Now, the interesting thing is about the owners of um, the Patriot Voice. Or not the Patriot Voice, but where this showed up. It showed up in the Breb Room, which is supposedly operated by this guy. Um, Now, I did not know anything about this guy. I never heard anything about him. Um, this is the first time that I heard me being referenced in regards to the Breb Room and so on and so forth. And IBT made some kind of comment about now maybe you'll be the wiser when it comes to Tim Homeseth and those that are gang stalking him, which is an old claim that IBT makes in regards to um, everyone over on this channel and elsewhere. Now, the Breb Room did make comments as to where they were questioning if Tim Homeseth is even on the air. That it would appear that someone may have hijacked Tim. Uh, Tim Homeseth is being controlled by none other than Jesse. So that has been going on over there. If you people want to, you can go over to the Breb Room. It's easy to find. And you can go through the chicanery there. But what's interesting is the guy that owns the Breb Room is not very popular. And it appears that none other than 8chun and the people over there don't think much of this guy. Now, 8chun is where QAnon came from. You got 4chan, 4chun, and then 8chun. And 8chun was the home nest of the QAnon movement, but somebody decided that they wanted to do a dox of Breb. And that is when I recognized who Breb is. He's actually in the next county over. He is in Castleberry, Florida, which is in Seminole County, which is to go up to the Seminole County Courthouse. It's roughly 45 minutes from Apopka. So, needless to say, I've been a busy boy today. And the records in Seminole County are rather old, but they're interesting. It is alleged that this guy is something of a meth head, or was. He's come up in court records and police records in regards to the use of drugs, and he has a rather interesting alleged disability, which I won't get into here. But needless to say, this is the kind of people that are allied with Tim Holmseth, alleged wife beaters, alleged individuals that have had problems with their children and have had them removed or otherwise not able to um, have visitation or what have you. I'm not really interested in that, other than I'm interested in, the fact that this guy took it upon himself to post the same kind of nonsense over on this weird website. Um, and so that was it. But, I really don't care um, about all this. It's just the thing that interests me about this is here we have people that not only are when oh, she's here again. This fake keeps coming up, and so we get rid of that. I wasn't able looking at the chat, but task force can go do her thing somewhere else. She, you know, must be drunk again. She's not wanted over on Telegram, and she's not wanted here either. So, but another thing that came up on Telegram, which I'm not sure what happened to the slide. Let me go in. I'm going to take some preparation. Uh, there's some interesting things about. I I banned Task Force, so she won't be back unless she comes in under a different slot. But what came out of a few things that happened was that let's see what we got here. Okay. Ever find a faster way to do this, I'm going to do it. So let me see if I can get this in here. This came up on social media, and it appears that more and more people are starting to realize that Timothy is not in control of his social media accounts, and that somebody is controlling him like a puppet master, something that I have uh, speculated about for quite some time. Now, but once again, Whitey Bulger is in the news, and the poor guy can't cut a break, even though he's dead. And as soon as this thing loads, I'll get it up in the room. Let's see. We're getting the ring of death here. It's taken a while for this thing to come into the room. Yeah, here we go. Anyway, uh, somebody over on Task Force gave me a couple bucks. That's interesting. Yeah, it's funny because Task Force puts this stuff up on um, here, and I guess it's their way to bribe her way into my channel. And of course, uh, well, okay, Task Force. Well, to heat this, or to put air conditioning in the trailer, which I don't own, it would run about $5,000. So if you want to, and again, she wants me to work at Walmart, and see, she threw me a little off message, but this is fine. We'll get to the Whitey Boulder here in a minute. But see, Task Force seems to forget that her lover, Timothy Charles Holmseth, does not want me to be gainfully employed. And when you write stuff on uh, the fake PPTF board, it gets put into a link. And Walmart checks online content for anyone that they um, hire. And so when all this stuff comes up, Walmart is not going to hire me. I've already been through this with Task Force. I know she has memory problems because she drinks too much, but Walmart will not hire controversial figures. And since Task Force has directly accused me of murdering children, being involved in child trafficking, and so on and so forth, they are not going to hire me. But Task Force doesn't seem to understand these realities. Uh, Task Force doesn't understand reality, period. But what can I say? So, but thanks for the $1.99. Um, in order for me to get it off a super chat, I have to hit $100, and I haven't hit $100 yet. So you need to get the game. Maybe take some of that $40,000 you got for Timmy's car and send it to me, or the $8,000 to $10,000 Timmy is getting for lying about Donald Trump. But yeah, that's the thing, Catherine. They're accusing everybody except the child traffickers of child trafficking. But that's understandable since they are defending an alleged murderer of two teenage children and also a woman who is um, accused of being the murderer of Tim Holmseth's power of attorney. But, there's no figuring out. Now, let's look at this statement here. Um, I'm not sure why he started this, but I guess he needed something to write about. So he is accusing me of looking like Whitey Bulger, a guy who was 10 to 20 years older than me, who is dead. Now, this is the part that's funny. Would the FBI create a new identity for Whitey Bulger so he could keep going with the secret FBI CIA programs he's involved with? Is the man they killed in prison really James Whitey Bulger, or did the FBI use a stand in to murder that innocent man? Now, I don't know if the Canadian crazy woman has been watching too many of these movies out there, but I would gather the implication of her theory is that they had an innocent victim kill Whitey Bulger and that I am Whitey Bulger. Well, herein lies the problem. Now, I am 72 years old, and because of that, I am younger than this Whitey Bulger fella. But again, we have to look at how would the FBI, CIA accomplish this massive identity changeover so that I would no longer be William K. Murtaugh, I would be Whitey Bulger. Now, the problem here is with all the new ways of finding out who people really are, the government would have quite a problem. See, there are records in the city of my birth telling what hospital I was born in, the date I was born, uh, who my mother was, who my father was, and you know, and yeah, who the doctor was, and all those details associated when somebody is born on this earth. Now, in addition to that, my father had an employer, my mother had an employer, and they also had marriage certificates. I had aunts and uncles and cousins and uh, nieces and nephews. I had a marriage when I married my wife in 1972, and there are records on her, there are records on her family, her mother, her father, her aunts, her uncles, siblings, and so on and so on. So you see what we have here is an ancestry tree. And so the FBI, CIA would have had to have created thousands upon thousands upon thousands of files to make this Whitey Bulger person be alive again and be me. Now, this is true of anyone else they would build this for. There would be all this information out there that they would have to backtrack and complete this identity. It is something that is impossible to do. Now, what they do in witness protection, and this is a reality check, they will make a background, but it only goes so far. So that if somebody really wanted to do a background, and this is a big problem with witness protection programs, is you could actually investigate thoroughly this individual and find out that it's a fake identity because the links would break because they can only do so much. They can create a guy, give him a false name, give him a job, give his wife a false name, false, you know, a job or what have you, but it is limited. And that is because they would assume that somebody in witness protection, people aren't going to do a thorough dox on them. Because if they did, the whole thing would fall apart. And they just gamble on the fact that this individual they put into witness protection, well, number one, keep his trap shut and not go around bragging that he is not the person that he says he is, that it was created by the federal government. And number two, that somebody doesn't dig too hard. And there have been cases, more than a few cases where the mob has gone after those informants that are in witness protection. They have found this individual with their new identity and new names, and they have put out a hit on them. So that in itself is a bad situation. It is extremely difficult to hide someone in witness protection. It's if somebody wants somebody bad enough, they're going to find them. And so by Timothy Holmseth putting out there that I am Whitey Bulger, uh, he is actually committing a federal crime if it is true and I am in fact Whitey Bulger. Because now that the person under witness protection has been exposed, that's putting a target on their head. That person is now subject to assassination by the mob because the mob does not like informants. And so, by putting out there that I am Whitey Bulger, if it was true, Timothy Charles Holmseth and all these other people could be charged with conspiracy to commit murder. But since I am not Whitey Bulger, that's not going to happen. But what happens over on these various sites is people don't pay attention to things like that. They sit there and they say, oh, this guy is Whitey Bulger because he looks like Whitey Bulger. And it gets into a situation where now what? So, what this does basically is it destroys their credibility. They never had any credibility in the first place, and this judge adds to it. So, they go over there and they spew this stuff. And this is basically true of everything they say. Because if you look deep enough into what they are claiming and what they are saying is true, you realize that it's all one big fat lie. It does not stand up. And what they do is they count on people not digging deep into reality. But, you know, these people are not out for the truth. They never have been out for the truth. They never will be out for the truth. You would be better off going on YouTube and watching Sheriff Grady of Polk County, Florida, when he does his press conferences. He is doing more to fight uh, child traffickers, pornographers, adult traffickers, and so forth than Timothy Holmseth ever thought of doing. Oh, well, it's too bad. Um, I'm getting information that um, Task Force is having a pissy fit because I banned her from the chat. Well, Task Force isn't allowed in the chat to begin with, so I'm not sure why she should be upset because she's not supposed to be here. Task Force said Jolly is your girlfriend. She is angry at Jolly. Okay. I have a bad memory. Would somebody uh, explain to me who Jolly is? Jolly, are you in here? Oh, here we are. Bridge burner. I'm sorry, Jolly. I'm having a memory fart tonight, but uh, For some reason, they're mad at you, and I'm the one that banned Task Force. So I don't get that. But, I guess everybody's having fun on Discord, I guess. I don't even go over there. But, somebody keeps me apprised of what's going on over there on Discord. I have an account over there. Yeah. What's funny about Task Force, though, is nobody likes her. The people over on Infiltrators chat don't like her. They say she's a big fraud. So I don't get it. And so Task Force is desperate enough to come in here. So anyway, hello, Tooth Sweet. Welcome to the chat. But that's Task Force says that Jolly banned her and she wants to dox Jolly, and they are on Discord trying to figure out who Jolly really is on their Discord server. Jolly, did I ever give you an administrator hammer? I didn't think I did. Because I'm having problems. I'd be glad to give you one, but I'm the one that banned Task Force. So, and this is more proof that they, rather than accept the fact that I don't want them here, they just go and dox people who are, I don't know. I don't understand these people. Because I got a whole astoundingly high blockbuster 18 people on this channel right now. Amazing. I'm such an important thing on here. Yeah, I don't, Jolly, I don't know what they're doing over there. I really don't. This channel gets more attention than Joe Biden. It's amazing. I'm living free in their heads. Well, yeah, I mean, it's probably why Tim Holmesett doesn't go on the air is because, A, he's either not among the living anymore, or B, he understands that he can be tracked. The only problem is that he is being tracked, and he's being tracked by a retired telephone operator who is following him all over the place because she has nothing else better to do. And so, one of these days, he's going to find out that it's not me he needs to worry about. It's radio. But, let him figure that one out. Anyway, so everything's slowing down to a crawl on the internet tonight. But I thought, this thing with Whitey Bulger is funny. And, one of the things I found out, now, one of the original people that started the Whitey Bulger hoax, we originally thought came from an advertising agency. It was a model. And that turned out not to be the case. The woman who is in the profile doesn't exist. She's an AI. It was made on something called, what the heck is it? Leonardo or something like that. And it's a place where um, you go and you can create a picture of somebody that doesn't exist. And there's a place where you go to and you put in, say, put in a image of a 25-year-old woman, white, blonde hair, blah, 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 blah. And it creates the image. You pick one out, then you take it over to a video graphics editor and you come up with a background, you put it on there, and bang, you got an individual. And then they go over and put it on Twitter, uh, and the woman doesn't exist. And it's rumored that Jesse owns the image, that she created it basically to promote her scam that she has going on, that the woman does not exist. And that it's all just make believe, which would explain a lot because PWS Builder is more than likely an AI bot. Um, we have run a bot, or what they call an AI detection utility. They've actually come out with one of these now, and it comes up suspected AI created content. And this is the lawsuit that's been filed in Tennessee. It was put through this um, AI thing, and it was found out to be fake. And that's true of severally. Astro said she thinks Jolly is Tinkerbell. Ah, ah. Well, I think Astro really needs to go to um, a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever they call them, if she thinks that Jolly is Tinkerbell. Because I guarantee you, if Tinkerbell ever showed up on this channel, she would be um, kicked off. Because the one thing I don't go for, it's um, people that are sexual predators, which she um, confessed to. 4 counts, as a matter of fact. But, Astro, if it is really Astro, is, she's got a few bricks missing from the house. Well, Jolly, I don't know if you've ever heard the story of Tinkerbell, but it was um, an individual who basically helped bring down my channel. And now that everybody's asking, Tinkerbell is a woman who lives in Florida. She lives about, well, she's still alive. She lives about 2 hours from my house. And back in the day, she was an administrator on Web Sleuth. And they had a forum over there discussing the missing child, Kaylee Anthony. And so she was a moderator of that channel. And she also was a fan of my original live stream. And she would show up at the search site that I covered when they were looking for the remains of Kaylee at Blanchard Park, which is on the east side of Orange County and within a 5 to 10 minute drive of the Anthony residence. And so she got on there and was a regular contributor. And her sister was my um, moderator on my live stream. And what happened was someone over on Leforia found out that Tinkerbell had confessed to 4 counts of lewd acts in the presence of children. And so when this came out, the sister got on my channel and said the children lied, that the children's grandfather and the father of her then husband had told the children to lie, even though photographs were entered in evidence in the hearing in Lake County when the man was charged with these crimes. And so what had happened was that certain people, and they know who they are, broadcast this fact, and I had problems getting followers to my channel. The channel just blew up, and I eventually took it down. I said, screw it, it's not worth it. So, thanks to um, Tinkerbell and her sister and others, my channel went out. As soon as the trial was done with Casey Anthony, I shut it down. And I did not come back on the air until a few years ago. And so, how this came about is somebody did really good detective work, because this crime happened back before the sex offender list was created, to where if you were convicted of any kind of sex offender crime, you had to go on a list as a convicted sex offender. So she got under the radar, somehow got into Web Sleuths, and Web Sleuths was none the wiser for it. And so they suffered for it, and it basically I suffered for it. And what I did is I fired the 3 women who were running my chat because they were defending this woman. My administrator, the highest ranking person in my show, went along with this woman, even though she had grandchildren of her own. She went along with this, that the children had lied. And I had 2 women and a male. The male bailed. He says, I don't want any part of this. But the 2 women, the sister of Tinkerbell and this other woman, went along with this the children lied thing. And when I would not go along with the lie, they went and gave away my log information, my password, login, the whole 9 yards. And that's where the chat came from. It's because somebody from 4chan, used to be known as Renzo Loves Cake and KFC Fan, they came in, created this fake chat, broke into and changed the password of my Twitter account, or my AOL account, and created all kinds of problems that Elizabeth me. Yeah, she did. This is a woman who now I understand lives in Lakeland, Florida, but for whatever reason, she wanted to believe that these children, who were quite young, lied about seeing a naked woman being effed. And that the one child, there were 2 children, one child watched all this, the other child was instructed by the father to photograph the woman's sex organs and also take photographs of those 2 doing their thing in the presence of them. This evidence was entered into trial, and these people, you know, the rest is history. The then husband, was convicted, sent to Lake County Jail, and he died in prison. He was given like a 20-year sentence or something like that. And she was put on probation, but because she was not on the sexual predator list, nobody found out about it until somebody did a records check with a Lake County court and found the evidence. And so, well, the rest is history. This is originally what cost me my original live stream. Now, radio got a hold of this, and some other people got a hold of it and used it against me. Tim Holmseth found out about it, allegedly through Astro, and Astro gave all the information to Timmy, and Timmy uses this stuff against me to this day, even though he does not understand that he is using material provided to him by supporters of a pedophile. So Timmy should be real proud of himself that he is defending and going into collusion with pedophiles. And this is a pattern because you see it with the Delphi case and other cases where the person who is alleged to have committed the crime, Tim Holmseth, is defending that person. Even though Delphi law enforcement has a mountain of evidence on the guy, this Richard Allen, uh, and also this other idiot, this Klein fella. They have all this evidence, yet Tim Holmseth wants to say that it was me and Fireman John that went out to Delphi, Indiana, and killed these two teenagers. And it's easily debunked. Both of us have records of what we were doing on the very minute of the very day that these crimes were alleged to have been committed. And there's all kinds of proof. They can go to credit card companies, cell phone companies. Um, in the case of me being a truck driver at the time, they could go to the trucking company that I worked for and worked with and get all kinds of records to prove that I wasn't anywhere near Delphi, Indiana during the time in question. But they're not out for the truth. That's the fact here. They are absolutely not out for the truth. They are out for playing games. They are out to make money off a bunch of gullible people that do not care to do the research that would be necessary to uncover these obvious lies. And this thing with Whitey Bulger is probably the biggest proof of that you could ever have. Because the resources that would be necessary for them to create a false identity for this Whitey Bulger character would be so vast that it wouldn't make any sense. Because why would the CIA and FBI use somebody with such a small website to carry out this big international thing? It doesn't make any sense. Nothing these people talk about make any sense, but they keep it up. And so you can't argue with stupid. So, but what can I say? Interesting. All right. Well, ding dong, telegram's dead. But the thing these people don't realize is they're wasting their time because nothing is going to come of this. Um, it's nobody's going to care. I have low subscriber base here. There's no. Okay, speaking of the Delphi, the usual things: murder suspect legal team file motion to squash subpoenas. The man accused of killing two girls in Delphi in 2017 is trying to prevent his jury from seeing evidence that has been subpoenaed from the Westville Correctional Center and CBS, which is his former employer. Now, the reason for the suppressing of the CBS evidence is because he processed images of the teenagers that the parents had brought in. Um, and there's other evidence from CBS that they wanted, and there's also evidence from the prison that they want to bring in. And this would probably be in line with um, Neely Blanchard. Now, let's see. What I'm trying to see is and it's saying Keegan Klein blamed his dad for sending messages to murdered girl. So now he's trying to pin the murders on his father. Um, and now he's flipping over the plea agreement. So he called Catfish and did an interview with him, I guess. He just loves attention, and so this is turning the Delphi murders into a bit of a mess. But Tim Holseth, I believe, has come out in defense of Keegan Klein. So it's interesting that someone who is supposed to be a proponent for the children and wanting to find people who are murdering children, abusing children, so on and so forth, is defending the perpetrators. It's just amazing. Which is why I'm beginning to believe that it is not Tim Holseth behind all these articles. And also that at one time, Tim Holseth on his, oh, what the hell? Boy, these things are, I think they had autocorrect on these things. All right, let's try this again. I'm going to replace this keyboard. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, so nothing has changed on the Blanchard case. The defense is going to be allowed to use the defense of temporary insanity for Neely Blanchard. I have an order in for more discovery, and so I'm waiting on the discovery. So I should have something in the next couple of weeks or so to continue covering the case. So blood beneath the tracks. Yeah, they're saying now that the derailments that are being caused are because of trains running over these tunnels, um, which is weird. And needless to say, my name shows up on here. Hallett was shot shortly after FBI operative William Kevin Murtaugh Apopka met with the FBI in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota in September 2020 to discuss Operation Chaos. In a meeting that lasted 40 hours, Murtaugh, who often reports news for the FBI, wearing a shirt and badge that say FBI and CIA and or a feature a U.S. Marshal badge, announced that Hallett's group out of Florida was on borrowed time. In October, the chief of police in Ocala, Florida, died in a plane crash. In November, Hallett was assassinated. So basically, Tim Holmsath is implying that I had murdered Chris Hallett. And they do this in just about every one of these articles. And the problem for them in this PWS builder is that according to the software that detects AI generated content, virtually everything he's written on there is not being written by a human. It's being written by software. And, you know, I don't know. I don't know how good the program is. I'm not an expert at it, but that's what came out. But all Operation Chaos was my visit to Minnesota to do a mini documentary, and it was done in a way to create confusion. And it worked. And it's still working because these people are so easily confused. It's just funny to watch how stupid they are. But what are you going to do? But in conclusion, it would look like that if Brebe would get a burr out of his ass and do some basic research, he would realize that the hero he is following, this Timothy Holmseth, he would find out that Tim Holmseth is likely not behind anything that's being produced on any of the social media accounts. It's being produced by PWS Builder, IBT, and these other skirts that are hanging around the account. That Holmseth is being kept out of sight and out of mind, and that he is not doing any of this. Now, there is one account, a small one, that admits to this that has Holmseth's name on it. And of course, when this new account showed up, everybody says, oh no, that's not Timmy. Well, how are you going to prove it? How are you going to prove that all these accounts out there are not are Timothy Holmseth? How are you going to prove that? You know, content on the internet is so easily faked anymore, you can't understand what's real and what isn't. it's turned into an absolute mess. There used to be times where you could look at something and say that's from that actual person. That hasn't been that way in years. And now we've got Chat GPT, we've got um, deep fake, we got all kinds of stuff out there where the content is being faked. And anyone that goes out there can do it. But I want to see if I can bring up what I have found. Now, there is something as basic as Grammarly that help you um, find this stuff. But in order to uh, fight this, they have come out with AI detection tools to help find fake content. And it's this kind of software that is being used. And so, anybody that wants to go online and, research some of this stuff, this is what you're going to find. And it's the tools that are similar to what this list is here will prove that much of the stuff you see over on Telegram is fake. You know, and so this is how uh, people can check to see if content is genuine or if it's being generated by software. And this stuff has been around longer than people realize. And, it only became public here in the last few years, last 2 years, as a matter of fact. But this stuff has been around for ages. The chat that's used against me all the time by Homeseth is something that came out of um, 4chan. And even though it wasn't AI, it was similar to it. It was fake content nonetheless. And so that's that. So this has been um, more or less an interesting night. I only came on because of this Breb Room thing. And I just found it rather curious that they would be reacting the way they did to the one comment I made over on Twitter. It's the only place I made it. And then all of a sudden, they have their burr up their collective asses that I even commented on it. Well, I cover lawsuits, and I will be covering this lawsuit to see where it goes. I'm in the process of trying to get the paperwork with it with the 12-page complaint. So if anybody can get the 12-page complaint for me, I would appreciate it. I spent several hours tonight trying to get it, and I haven't been able to get it yet. Um, But I do appreciate everybody coming in. Please like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and share. Enjoy the rest of your week. And I will let you know, as usual, on Twitter when I will be back with another live stream. The earliest I expect to do anything at all would be Saturday or Friday, unless something comes up. And so, if you want to talk to me, I'm on Twitter and so forth. And so, y'all have a good one. Good night. Take care and be safe.